Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible, one brave word at a time. And here today to help me with that mission is Sandy Davies. Welcome, Sandy.
G'day.
I'm happy to have you here today. You guys, Sandy, born on the Great Plains of Kansas, Sandy Davies never imagined becoming a siren of the seas on the edge of the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. Now in her 50s, Sandy helps other women navigate peri and post-menopause and embrace this era as our time to thrive. You don't even know how much I love this, Sandy. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, well, I was born in Kansas. I then, after graduating high school, was the first of my family to go to university and went to Kansas State University. And while I was there, I was awarded a Rotary Fellowship to do graduate studies. I was supposed to be going to Nigeria, and I had a professor that I had just worshipped that I wanted to go and study under in Nigeria. And there was a bit of an altercation on campus and some military unrest, and Rotary refused to approve my exit to Nigeria. So I was given the choice of New Zealand or Australia. Ended up in Australia and then ended up staying, which wasn't part of the plan at all.
Never went home, huh? See ya.
I thought I was going to be straight off to the Peace Corps next, and then my life changed and I stayed in Australia and haven't looked back.
Wow. What kept you there? Like, how did you make that decision? What was the motivation?
Well, back in the States, I had a bumper sticker on my car that said, "A woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle." And over here in Australia, there was a Welshman who had come out with 2 suitcases and his 2 daughters to build a better life for his girls here. And he was never getting married again, and he was never dating. And our 2 nevers just collided and our worlds changed, and it was meant to be.
That is awesome. Oh my goodness. I have a feeling we could talk about that story this whole time. I have so many other questions. That is so fun and so cool. Well, Australia is somewhere I have never been. It's definitely on the travel bucket list, and I've been a few places, but you know that, how many hours in that plane, Sandy? Talk me into this. I don't know about that.
Oh, don't ask me to talk you into it.
Okay.
It's worth it when you get here, but it is such a long journey, especially from the East Coast. Like the last trip I did back to the States, I think it was maybe like 27 hours to get to the Midwest. But it's worth it. It really is. Once you get here, just allow enough time just to really explore. When you get here, it is a magical place.
Yes, I have heard over and over. That is awesome. Okay, so, well, now I know you. I might have to call you up and say, Sandy, I'm coming. Okay.
Oh, I love it. That sounds great.
Okay, listen, you specialize in something you call radiant aging, and specifically menopause. Tell us more about that and why that's been important to you.
Yeah, well, I wasn't expecting to get hit with symptoms during perimenopause. And so perimenopause, that bit in your 40s when things start to change and you start to have those hormone fluctuations in the lead up to menopause. I had so little education about what perimenopause was. I didn't expect it to hit me so hard. I was going to my GP, and my GP was telling me, my GP being my medical doctor, telling me, "Oh, it's just perimenopause." And I was thinking, just perimenopause? Oh no, that means menopause is going to be awful. And I'm usually very happy, very radiant. I've always got my groove, my jive on. And I was struggling. I was having moments of flash anger. I was having mood swings, and I was having intimate dryness, which I have now gone on to discover will impact 70% of us over the age of 40. But what I found was there were so few solutions, because there's so much stigma around menopause anyway. And then when you actually go to talk about something in your intimate region, there's even more stigma and more hush hush. And And then if there is something like dryness happening, oh, we don't want anyone to think there's anything wrong with us. So when I tried a few chemical products, I had an allergic reaction to one that was a multi-day pessary. It's horrific. And then I read the ingredients after, real bright when you afterwards, oh, I've had a reaction. All those chemicals. Oh,
Yeah.
So I finally made my high school chemistry teacher proud at age 50. I went back to the drawing board and came up with something natural for dryness. And in that journey is how I discovered that there was still so much stigma around menopause and its symptoms. And I just thought, this all has to change. And I just threw myself out there in the limelight to become a bit of a spokesperson for ensuring that we don't feel like we're losing our minds, and we understand that it's a natural biological process, and that we can find solutions to help us thrive. And yeah, just celebrate that radiant aging, that passing into that era of wisdom.
You wrote something that you sent to me that I'll read, and I want to talk about this, but the way that you're talking about this really got me. It says, solving physiological symptoms was an integral part of thriving emotionally and spiritually. Tell us what the product is. What did you develop?
Yeah, so I developed a product called Happy Paws, and it's a balm for intimate dryness. So it's something that you apply vulval and vaginally. And I couldn't believe the difference of just solving that one physiological problem. I just instantly had my groove back, and I didn't realize how much that dryness was impacting everything else until I hit a home run and found a solution. And it was really at the insistence of my daughter and my husband that we decided Happy Paws had to be something global, and it had to be something we made available to everyone, because I couldn't have been the only one that said, I want something natural to fix this, not something chemical based. And I'm so thankful that they did just sort of, push me out there and say, you got to do this, because it turns out the silver lining for me was I created something for menopause without any awareness or understanding of how much even wider that issue of dryness can be. And women that go through cancer treatment will also struggle with dryness then for the longevity of their lives after the treatment. And that was the biggest silver lining, was having women post-cancer and during cancer treatments reach out to me and say, this is magic, and I don't want to be without it the rest of my life. So it's just been a very validating journey to realize that we all need that comfort, and finding that comfort to solve a few issues. Like for me with dryness, once you've solved those, everything else is so much easier to deal with.
Definitely. I'm dying to hear a little bit about your product journey. Bringing a product to the market. Do you have a little story around that? How did that go for you?
I had a few disasters at the start, of trying to get the formula right. So they were quite comical. But then once I absolutely just nailed it, and this was it, and I knew it, the rest of that transition was, I guess, I shouldn't say pretty easy, because I had plenty of little headaches along the way. I actually had my product boxes got shipped to New Jersey, and the New Jersey lady who made ballet tights to suit the color of your skin, all of her ballet tight boxes arrived to me.
Oh.
So there were a few little hiccups like that along the way, which I found it so funny to be in the remote rainforest and get a lady from New Jersey's product packaging in her mind. But the biggest barrier has probably just been, that resistance that we find, because there is still a little bit of stigma around menopause. And then if you want to go on to talk about something that's vulval and vaginal, there's even more stigma. So I've put myself out as the vag queen now. I can't take it back. And it's just every time I find those barriers where it can be both women and men. I've had women in health conferences and things that have said, oh, well, we're not sure now that we want you, now that we know that it's actually, about the
Oh, wow.
vagina. And I was like, oh, what? How are we facing those stigmas now? It shouldn't happen. And I've had businessmen refer to me as vulgar and practicing vulgarity, talking about menopause. And
Wow.
so it just it lights a fire for me, because we have to erode this stigma for the generations after us. It shouldn't be a stigma now. It's something natural and a process that we should be celebrating. Like, we're going into our next spring. It's amazing.
Well, plus natural ingredients is really important. You touched a little bit on a reaction that you had to a chemical-based product, and I think people need to wake up a little bit about what they're putting on in their bodies and understand really what can happen with that. So thank you for making a natural product that we can feel really good about using. That's a big deal to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had an Ayurvedic practitioner say, I love this because you can eat it. And I thought, oh, I hadn't even really thought about that. But yeah, there is something about when we do stuff so natural that we could even consume it. It's good for us.
Yes, very. Okay, so I really should have said it straight off the bat, but the reason that we met was the Sacred Promise book project. And so Sandy and I are both in the Sacred Promise collaboration with at least, I think, 33 women all around the world who are writing a chapter. And this is a compilation from Dr. Tararai Trent. And if you guys don't know about Tararai, I'm going to leave a little link down below so that you can check out our leader in this beautiful, beautiful project. But your chapter, Sandy, is called Ad Astra per Aspera, to the stars through difficulties. Tell us more about that. Have you published before?
I've had one publication that has come out just a few months ago called Courage and Confidence. Was very excited. It was a #1 Amazon bestseller in women in business straight off the bat. So it was very validating. And that was with a circle of Australian businesswomen. And then now this is that next step and that leap. And I'm so thrilled to be a part of this global vision and this global sharing of stories of women. For me, I feel like this is one of those things I've been dreaming about since I was 6 years old, to be sharing stories of women from all across the world.
Yeah, it has a very intensely beautiful energy. And not to mention that we'll have Elizabeth Gilbert writing the foreword for our book. And that was pretty exciting, when we heard that announcement. Yes, I'll just say ditto to what you said about the feeling of this. I believe this is just the start of a movement of this. And it's not like these kinds of things haven't happened already, but for some reason, this feels bigger. It feels like it has more momentum, and it feels like it's just the beginning to me.
Yeah, me too. And, every time I start to think about it, I get goosebumps. And and for me too, like being able to share my story of my start in Kansas. I left Kansas the same month that Tararai came from Zimbabwe to Oklahoma. And it was like almost a sliding doors moment that feels meant to be, that we connected now, because like I was hammering the last nail into a house in Cowley County, and 10 miles south in Oklahoma, she was hammering the first nail into a Habitat for Humanity house there. And then like we just literally sliding doors, just missed each other. So kind of awesome to connect now and get to share those stories of resilience and strength, and that light that sometimes no matter what we're going through, we can question that light and wonder if it's started to dim. And I think each of us in this Sacred Promise, we're sharing stories to remind all the readers that even when you think your light is maybe starting to dim, it's not. It's still there, and it will reflame and reignite.
Well, you guys are going to have to wait also to read my chapter in the book. I'm not going to share any, sneak peeks or anything. It's going to be an amazing book. And the stories are, I mean, just meeting some of the women, Sandy and I know that this is just going to be kind of blow you out of the water type of book. And we can't wait for you to read it. So I'll drop some info down below in the show notes about that as well for you guys who are curious. But Sandy, tell me a little bit more about what you have going on these days in your business and your offerings. What do you want to share?
Well, I think I just have to zero back to Sacred Promise for the biggest thing I want to share, because I just want to say, if you're listening, go out and buy a copy. And I really feel like with Sacred Promise, it's not going to be a buy a one copy. It's going to be buy a two copy, because you're going to want a copy for either your best friend or for your daughter or for someone else in your journey that has meaning to you. Because for me, I feel like everything I was doing with Happy Paws and starting up Happy Paws, it led to this moment. And it's just been a core part of everything that's going to spread with Happy Paws and business and life journey and writing from here. And one of the things I write about in my chapter at Aspera Per Aspera, there's so much, but one of the things towards the end I write about is, be your own coach, be your own cheerleader, and be your own champion. And then once you champion yourself, go out and be that coach for someone else and be that cheerleader for someone else. And I think that's a message that, we all think about, but sometimes we forget to action. So yeah, it's just, the book is full of infinite possibility for each of us and each of the readers.
Yes, 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 yes. And yes, with an exclamation point. Okay, so I want to just bring it back to the menopause topic one more time. As we finish up here, I know that my audience are in that range, mostly women. I am 54 and I haven't hit menopause yet. I guess I'm one of the lucky ones. I don't know. I keep hoping that maybe that period will stop sooner or later, but we're still raring to go over here. But I have read a lot about it. I have, experienced the hot flashes, kind of the perimenopausal types of symptoms. But you said something earlier that caught my attention, and you'll have to remind me of your exact term. But did you say anger flashes? Was that the term you used? I want to understand that a little bit more, and mostly so that our listeners can understand if some of the mental, emotional stuff is happening. You might just take a breath and understand that that's part of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And so flash anger was one of the things that I found so confronting, because for me, it just came out of nowhere, because it's fairly obvious that I'm usually a fairly happy person. One of my big things in life is always that joy always returns and joy always rises. No matter what we're going through, joy will return. And all of a sudden I was cranky, and I would just have moments where it would just be snap anger, and it could be at an inanimate object. And it is a hormonal thing. But I find it doesn't matter whether it's flash anger or brain fog or inability to concentrate. There are so many of those things that are a natural part of those hormonal imbalances and the hormonal fluctuations as our body adjusts. And they're a normal progression through menopause. And there are so many natural solutions out there to help with those solutions. And everyone's journey is unique, but there are solutions out there. So you're not losing your mind. You're not going crazy. It's natural and it's okay. And there's solutions. That's my big thing, I think, with menopause, is that there are so many solutions out there, and each of our journeys is so unique, but we have the right to thrive and we have the capacity to thrive. So we can make menopause our happy pause.
Yes. Okay. What a perfect place to close out the show today. Sandy, thank you so much for what you're doing in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone.
Oh, this was such a gift. Thank you, Laura. I loved having this chat.
All right, you guys. So please slide on down to those show notes after this interview. Explore Sandy's website. Check out all of the awesomeness that she has to offer. Happy Paws. Maybe it's a product that you want to order. I know I kind of need you to ship some over the pond to me. Okay, I don't know.
Yes,
I think it's
absolutely.
all right. I'm gonna have to order one. Lastly, today, everybody remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. It is time to be brave. If you are ready to share your brave words with the world in a bigger way, please connect with me at bravehealer.com. See you next time, everyone. Bye, Sandy.